Hey, my name is Lisa and I'm an industrial designer, and today I'm gonna share my story of why I chose this career and how I started doing it on freelance basis. So I would say my journey started at the age of 14 when I made a friend who was attending classes at a local art school, which was in the Department of Architecture and Art University. And I saw her creating some crazy paper models of imaginative armchairs, as well as designing some weird drawings which were nothing similar to what I've seen before. So I was really impressed, and I asked my mom to bring me to that school, and she did, and I was luckily accepted. So I started attending those classes where we practiced geometrical compositions, the abstract ones, and they were meant to develop our imagination. So at that time I started dreaming of becoming an architect because that university had a lot of open door days where they would give an excursion around the university showing their students' projects, which I was truly amazed by. So I started preparing for my entry exams as much as I could, but unfortunately the results I received were not enough for me to get a scholarship. So as I couldn't afford paying for my education, I decided to try industrial design degree exam, which very unexpectedly I succeeded in and got a scholarship. So I decided to give it a try because I wasn't losing anything, and I thought if it doesn't work out for me, I will just try to apply for architecture the next year. But luckily I didn't have to do it. From the very beginning I fell in love with industrial design, and I enjoyed all the creative classes we had, which seemed such a relief after preparing for high school exams 24/7. However, those art classes that I attended during school before uni literally killed my mind because they made me think abstractly rather than realistically, if that makes sense. So during the whole freshman year, I struggled a lot with creating real products, and in the end of the year, I realized I need to spend some time designing random products just to get through that creative block. So I started posting those sketches on Instagram because I thought that would motivate me to design every single day, and it actually did. So when my second year at uni started, it was much easier for me to create new shapes, thanks to that summer practice, which was a very intense one. So then a couple of months later, during that Christmas break, I suddenly bumped into a girl on YouTube. Unfortunately, I don't remember her name, but she was a freshman at an art college studying fine arts, and she showed the progress of how to become an artist. And I found very inspiring the fact that being a freshman, she already did some commissions for clients, which I never really thought of before. So I started thinking of what opportunities I might have being an industrial design student, but nothing really came to my mind at that time. So I did nothing basically. So then a couple of months later, I believe it was in February, when I had around 250 subscribers on Instagram, which is almost nothing, I got a DM from an Indian startup looking for a designer who would create a new pair of sunglasses for them. Imagine how excited I was! So at that time I had absolutely no idea of how much this might cost, and the company suggested the price of $100. I didn't really care about money, I just was so excited about the opportunity, so I accepted the offer. And so at that time, studying industrial design for less than 2 years, thanks to the uni, I already was very familiar with the design process, and I knew exactly what needs to be delivered to a client to complete the project. So I did a design research, then I came up with the concept and showed it in sketches, And finally I did an illustration using CorelDRAW. It was like a 3D imitation because I didn't know how to use 3D software at that time, because in our program we used to study that during the third year at uni, I believe. So yeah, and eventually I did some technical drawings with dimensions for those sunglasses, and that was basically it. So yeah, this is what my first project looked like. So after completing that first project, I was so excited, so I kept searching for the opportunities in the internet, and that's how I discovered Upwork, which is a freelance platform where you can find job offers for one-time freelance projects, in case you don't know. So I started applying for jobs, but because at that time I didn't have a proper portfolio, I just had a great bunch of random sketches. They were pretty detailed and they looked kind of professional, but then it was not a proper portfolio. So to find a suitable sketch for every single project that I applied for, it took years for me. So don't repeat my mistakes and prepare a proper portfolio before applying to jobs, because otherwise you will lose a lot of time. So my first clients were the ones from Upwork, and with some of them we still keep working now, which is very exciting. The projects that I worked on in the very beginning were pretty simple ones, like bag design or planters, like raised bed for herbs, etc. At that time I didn't provide 3D modeling services because, as I said before, we studied it a year later. So I only did the concept development and showed it in sketches, and that was enough for my clients. Some of them just preferred saving money on 3D modeling, and they used my sketches and technical drawings to send them to the manufacturing, and that was it. During that time I kept posting my works on Instagram, and when I received around 1,000 followers, I started getting client requests from Instagram more often, which means that you don't have to have 1 million followers to receive client work. Sometimes it just happens the way that client bumps into you using hashtags or something like that. So yeah. I also tried to find clients myself, which was not an easy thing to do, I have to admit, but I think I'll do a separate video for that because that's one of the most frequently asked questions I get. So 2.5 years out of 4, which is the length of my design program, I combined my studies with my freelance work, which was obviously physically pretty hard because I had to spend all of my free time working instead of hanging out with friends and going to parties, as I would say normal students do. But you know what? I don't regret that because eventually the hard work paid off for me. Yeah. So I graduated in 2020, and we all know what happened that year. So we were graduating while Corona was playing its game. Everything was shut down, and a lot of my mates didn't know what to do next, while I was working pretty successfully at that time, having a lot of projects actually. And the reason for that was because everybody was stuck at home, and a lot of people decided to spend that time usefully thinking about starting their new business, which they've been thinking about for years but never really had the chance to properly start. So yeah, that's why I had a lot of projects during the whole Corona time. Then that summer I applied for a master's degree in graphic design in the same university I studied before, but that was a mistake because that was a completely different thing other than what I was expecting, but that's a whole different story. Anyways, I chose to become a freelance industrial designer just because back then, when I was just starting, that was the only way I could combine my studies with my work, which gave me a practical experience and made me understand what I really want for my future career. And also, after graduation, I already had a great base of clients which allowed me to continue doing this till now. I will probably be interested in full-time employment sometime in the future just to gain some extra experience, but overall I'm not planning on giving up on freelancing because it gives me an incredible opportunity to grow and to work on completely different projects all at the same time. So I guess that's all I wanted to share in this video today. If you still have any questions, please write them below in the comments and I will answer all of them. So thanks for watching and I will see you in the next video.